So as I mentioned in my other tutorials, I was going to show you how this track ended up. And so I'll do the best I can in breaking down each track. So basically so far what we have is we managed to get around 87 tracks. I was doing a tutorial, right? And this was the track that I was working on, and I had a comment on one of my videos, and then the gentleman said, no, this was actually the Art of Sound show. And the guy was like, "Oh, you need to do more. You know, how much possibly could you do to this track?" And it was bare minimum stuff I was doing, on the show, but I just knew as a producer there was more to this track than I was showing, and that just goes to show that everybody doesn't have your thoughts and your goals and where you're trying to go sometimes. So it's just best to show where you're going versus explain it. I guess sometimes it's best to show it. So the first thing is I have a this is something that inspired me, right? And I believe I addressed this before. My goal behind this was to go after something that I never would have played with or imagined, to play with. Some people ask me, do I go for drums first? And I don't. I rather go for chords first, chords or the melody. It really depends. Sometimes I do drums, but this is the first thing that inspired me, and then I just went from here. This is a sound from Synth Masters, which is a plug-in of a lot of decent synths that I use inside that plugin. It looks like this at the bottom here. And as you notice in this track, I pretty much bounced down a lot of audio. There's still a couple of tracks that are up that are still in MIDI, which is this one here. And I left that there so I can show you. And that track specifically is what I did the tutorial on, but I'm gonna show you what else I did to it. And then this is another track that I left as MIDI. This is also another track. As a matter of fact, there's Synth Master on this. I just didn't want to create another instance of it. But this is Synth Master, and I use it quite frequently, as you can see. And I think that's it. There might be another one in MIDI, like this one here, still in sample 1. But this is the first thing that inspired me here. It's like a arpeggiated, I don't know, I call it dial it in because it reminds me of a telephone line in a sense. And I just created the chords to do that. It sounded pretty cool. And then from there, I built this sound right here, which is it's like a smoke sound. All right, so let's listen to the entire track. Then I'll just break everything down. There's another voice in the background. Let's mute that. And this is still playing. So the key here is to play around with samples and loops, voices. That's what make it come out, makes it more fun. It makes it more radio ready, if you ask me. Without it, it just felt like it was empty. So Now for the hats, I guess I can show you what I did to that right now. I put that red light district on it. And this right here is did wonders. So that's bad, that's without it. Now with it. It's like it add another, it's like a dirty effect on it. Like it's a distorted sound, but it's like it put it where I want it. That's what I was looking for. I'm gonna be honest with you. This is the first time I played with red light district here. Love it. This thing is awesome. So some of my film orchestrated, I don't know, the film side of me came out right there. I mean, what I mean by that is when I added these little effects here, something I would do if I'm composing for film, some type of orchestrated style music where, just with the effects, trying to make it extra boomy and that type of thing. Yeah. And so these sounds came out of Omnisphere. I just grabbed Omnisphere and started composing, grabbing a few things and just, poke them there and then bounce them down. And I did that just by, finding something that I wanted to insert in there and then bounce it down in place. That way I can just keep this one instance of Omnisphere, because again, this is what I tell you guys all the time. If you have several instances of plugins and instruments and whatnot, then you will experience a spike in your CPU, and you'll experience, your computer slowing down, your sessions taking longer than usual, and that type of thing. And that's not good. As you can see, I have quite a few instruments. I just failed to delete them, but most of them will be deleted. Like this reactor. Well, I'm not gonna touch it because I think I still have some things going on in them, but I have a lot of things activated here that can be deleted. But that's the point. But when you in production mode, I get it. Sometimes you just you don't remember to do that because you're in creative mode. So that's why those are still there. But as you can see, my CPU is pretty much up there. And the partial reason is because my buffer size is at 256. I need to bring it back to 512. 512 is a comfortable buffer size. And the only reason why I changed it is because I was trying to do something with my voice, with my mic setting when recording this video. So as you can see, as you increase the buffer size, you can see the CPU begins to handle a lot better, which is a great thing. Take advantage of the cores inside of the computer versus, the limited space that you give it in regards to the buffering size. But basically, we're going to move forward. This is a full song, and I took advantage of a lot that Studio One has to offer, which is the arranger here. I made sure that I labeled everything and gave everything a color code. Actually, this can be one thing. I can actually delete this here and just extend that out, make that just one verse. Or it could have been something else because I have, something kind of, I don't know. But this is the chorus. That's the chorus. You know what? I'm gonna bring that back because this can actually be something else. I don't know. I can just just color a different color just to indicate that it's changing the pattern. And the whole concept behind this was to make it live and interesting as you listen to it, and also give the artist a bit of inspiration when creating and writing lyrics to the song as well, because that's what music is about. For me, that is, you don't want to listen to the whole, the same thing over and over. So in the atmosphere, this is the sound that I have. I put right here at the right here. This is a bass sound that I created for myself. Kind of did like a little. It's got that Actually, it's a dub spank lead. Yeah, it's got that what I'm looking for. In today's r&bass is what they call it. And on this particular track here, I put a EQ on it just to cut down the low end. As you can see, it's bass heavy. Sounds really great. However, it is not good to have that going when I have my kicks and my other 808 and bass, that type of thing going on. So I just decreased the bass, filter the bass out right there. And then this massive here, see, this is one that can be deleted. We can go ahead and delete that. To remove track and instrument. I'm kind of scared to do that because I don't know exactly. And that's a massive. We're just gonna remove track because I don't know if that instrument is being utilized by another track. So, but anyway, this is my hats right here. I know that because I can look at the automation here. And as before, I showed you guys how this works. I did a tutorial based on how I got the hats to do what it does. And just a quick overview, or, a revamp, a recap, that is. So basically, is just I discovered the toggle. I've never played with these parameters down here. I'm used to the ADSR functions inside of Machine and inside of Battery 4, which means I can hold down the pad or hold down a note for as long as I want to. And once I let go, that note will stop, or that sample will stop. Most of the times it's samples. And, you play around with the ADSR functions because you are playing around with samples. And that's what give it that ability to, when you put your hand, you press on the key or the pads, when you let off of it, it'll stop with you. I was doing that on the MPC. I forgot where I went to do that, but it's just like playing a keyboard. When you play the piano or the strings, whatever, as long as you have your hand pressed on it, it's gonna stay there. And then when you let go, it stops. But unfortunate for samples, if they are in one note or one shot mode, which is, I believe is one shot mode by default, but you would need to change it to toggle. And let's find those. Yeah, I believe this was the hi-hats that I was playing around, and the reason why we don't hear that is because it's solo. Okay, so this is the hi-hats right here, and as you can see, I have it on toggle. And the thing with that is you have to add, this is the sound, and then that's the toggle. Sound, toggle, sound, toggle. Basically, it's an on-off thing. It's like on, off, on, off, on, off, that type of deal. Like I said, I did a tutorial. I'm not going to go through all of this, but that was the concept. And then I, automated that in the pitch bend to get it, to sound different, here and there. So now, as you can hear, this is very exciting. I'm gonna jump here because I just thought it was pretty dope. You hear a little sound in the background as though this was a sample, like I was recording this in and it had a track going in the background or something like that, right? That's not necessarily the case. What I did was, this is what helped glue everything. I'm jumping ahead, right? But this is what helped glue everything together. This console shaper. I'm telling y'all, oh my God. I didn't even use any other presets yet. I just turned it on and it just, man, the wow factor was serious. So let's deactivate that and let's see if you guys can tell the difference. All right. I don't know if you guys can tell the difference, but for me, I can definitely tell the difference. And this is what happens when you are mixing in a real console. A real console will give you those different artifacts. Not really artifacts. I believe it's all musical. The circuitry that is flowing through a mixed console, depending on what it is, you know what I mean. The way that they are built, some of the sounds bleed over into another channel, giving you thus that analog flavor, that analog touch. I just felt like once I activated this thing, it just went bananas. And what gives it that sound was this crosstalk that's activated obviously, and I turned it up just a tad bit, and my drive is somewhere around 6, just kind of give it that, just make it hit just a little harder. And to be honest, this is just the default. You turn it on. I don't know. Yeah. It's just the default, and it has this thing here where it says pass through. So it says include sources of bus channels without, what is that? Without mix effects. I have a few bus channels, and maybe that's what it's doing. But when I as soon as I activated that, it was like, oh my God, it just made everything sounds great. It, like before this, it was dry. It was, it was real clean, which is great. But it gave it that extra push. You know what I mean? Because this thing is just awesome. This is awesome. I just had to jump forward just to show y'all that. Because we heard, and hence the reason why when I solo this, you can kind of hear the track a little bit in the background. That's because this console shape here is emulating the real mix board. You know what I mean? Which is pretty awesome. I like that. It's like it add a little dirt to it. It makes it just put everything together. All right, but anyway, moving on. This is the kick that I use. I wanted to use something that was punchy, and what I did here with my kick was I had sidechain compression going on to make it jump, because I have these different 808s and bass going on at the same time. So okay, so let's find the 808s. So here's my 808s down here, right? That's pretty cool how you can just hear the stuff in the background, like it was really recorded, like live or something. Okay, I muted this obviously. Um the um the region is muted here. Okay, so this is the kick, right? Okay, so in this section right here is where my bass is, right? And I definitely added a compressor here, and I have it set up where it's activating the side chain function here. So now you can kind of hear where it's like it's dipping, and these are long legato notes here, but it's dipping in and out, right? And the attack is not that strong, but it's holding itself, for the bass, the bassy part of it. When you trying to sidechain things, you need to put a compressor on. For this instance, there is a compressor on my bass, right? And what I did was I hit here, this plus sign here, and down here it says sidechain, and so I can go for these several things that I have available now. In this instance, I have this one connected with I believe it's the 808 kick. That's what I want to say. It's the 808 kick, which is this here. I have it connected to that. And so every time this kick would hit, the compressor will react and it would duck, making room for the kick to come through and the bass kind of move out of the way. So, that issue with bass and kick wars, I spoke about that not too long ago in one of my videos as well. But when you're doing music, you don't want the bass. That's a common thing. The bass and the kick, they both oftentimes share the same frequency ranges, right? And if you're not careful, you can create that muddy sound and that wobbly, wavy sound because they're clashing and it's not sounding great. So one or two things you could do is first you can EQ, the bass where it's not clashing with the kick or vice versa, or you can just use side chaining. I rather keep the presence of my bass. I like the way my sub bass sound. I like it to rock. Especially for this style of music, you definitely don't want to EQ out the bass. So it's a great thing that sidechain is a feature in Studio One, and this is how I was able to get the bass still to sound subby as possible and the kick still punch through without fighting. You know what I mean? This is great. So this is what it's doing, is receiving the side chain information from the kick. And I don't even have the kick active at the moment because this channel is just soloed. So you would think that the kick is on this channel as well because, All right, so I'm just kind of going for whatever jumps out at me the next. So this tape stop effect, I've also showed this, and I have an entire tutorial on it as well, showing you guys how to get the tape stop effect. But basically, it's achieved by using the Sample One plugin, and basically, I just pretty much took this section here. I took this section here and highlighted it and bounced it down, just that one section, and re-brought it back into the track. And this is what this is. This is the track rebounced in here. And then what I did was I just muted that because I don't need it. And I brought it right. Well, I didn't bring it down there yet. I brought it right here. This is the actual Sample One. And I can actually delete this because I don't need it anymore. But this is what I did. I when you bounce stuff in, this is what you do. You have to right click on it, and then it gives you the option to go to send it to a new Sample One. And that's what I did. I sent it there. and then I adjust the PB range here. I made it 24. All right, and then in this track here, I went to my pitch bend and had to kind of just cut out right there, 16.3, and then instead of having this instance across the board, I just bounced down that what I did and just chopped it right here. So now it just makes it easy for me to just grab the audio and place it wherever I want. And so that's what I did. I placed it right there. The only reason why these follows because I did more so this and I duplicated and everything come over. But basically, I don't need that. I don't need that information. In fact, I can delete that information right now, as a matter of fact. And please remember that everything in here is non-destructive. So I can actually remove. Let's go ahead and remove them both. Don't need it. And so this is what we get. And I just put a quick fade on the edges here just so it can be clean, because sometimes when you chopping audio information, it tends to clip, give you that click sound at the end. So you just kind of fade it out a little bit right there. All right, so that's what that was. And then I kept building and stuff in here. I took the crash from the loop section, just grab them. Sometimes it's just easier just to grab stuff from over here right quick and just add them in. I must have grabbed a couple of risers, and I got some voices from over here as well. And it just really depends on what you're going after. There's some pretty decent stuff over here. You just go over here and grab it. You can preview it, and if you like it, take that track and just drag it in place. I hope that didn't add. All right, don't look like it add, but so I the whole goal was to kind of just keep it simple, and I just added bits and pieces here and there. And all I did was, took out certain elements right here. Now I got a nice little, I don't know if you would call it a melody, but it was something I thought was pretty cool. Also, I added a piano just to kind of fill it up a little bit. It's in the background. You probably wouldn't even have noticed that there was a piano in the background, but check this out. That's what it's doing. Now, I know that is there, and I would notice the difference if it was muted. It sounds naked to me without it. But let's add it back. You know what I mean? Sometimes it doesn't take for something to be in your face for it to actually be something, a part of the track. Some of the things that you add can just be far off, underneath, like pan to the right or to the left, and it's just really all about positioning and where it is. It will help build and fill the track, and this is essentially getting into the mixing aspect of things now, because that's what mix engineers do. Their job is to mix and blend things together and polish things and glue them and that type of thing. So that's what I happen to be as well. Not always, but that's what I am. A mix engineer when I'm not producing. And so I think like a mix engineer, and I guess that's the beauty sometimes, to be able to, understand the mixing process, and that's what you guys got to do as well. At least understand it. You know, you don't have to be a mix engineer, but at least understand the process, and that's how you get your tracks to sound 10 times better. You know. Now I don't have a whole lot of things panned, but there's some things that I wanted to implement the panning on because um, I just wanted to create a different type of space for that specific instrument. But a lot of these instruments already are widespread stereo, and so it's just a matter of kind of leveling, as you can see. So there's not a whole lot of panning going on because it's already in this. To be honest, some of them are already panned for me. As if they stereo, some of them are already panned. Now that sound, it sounds like a trumpet, but it's not. It is not a trumpet, and I wasn't thinking about a trumpet right there. But when I came across that sound, it just sounded wonderful. It's really a vintage piano sound that came out of, um, I believe it came out of, I want to say Reactor, but I don't know. I don't remember. I didn't use so many instruments in here. It's just, no, this one came out of Presence. This is a Presence instrument. And I believe this, no, that's not it. Yeah, it came out of Presence. This is more so like, I don't know what I did in there for that sound. But this is what it sounds like. Amazing, ain't it? It is not a trumpet, but it sounds like one with everything else. You know what I mean? You'd be amazed how stuff sound when everything else are in there. So, a lot of times this is something I had to kind of train myself to do. You know, when you looking for sounds, you cannot always make a presumption on anything because of the way it sound by itself. You have to always make prejudgments based on what it could sound like. And so I've gotten good about this to the point where I can hear a sound and know exactly what it would sound if I was to reverse it or put this EQ on there or put this reverb. I know exactly what I'm looking for. And the sound does not need to necessarily be what it really is. You know what I mean? For instance, if I'm looking for a clap, I may go to the clap section and find a clap, but a lot of times I'm not looking for a quote unquote clap, something that's labeled clap. I will go to the kicks sometimes. I will visit my snares sometimes. I will visit even my hi-hat section sometimes. Or I will visit my one-shot sound effects section to find my clap because sometimes there are elements in other instruments that sound like something else. You know, I've came across several kicks that can easily that can be placed in the snare section because the way it was built or designed. But it is a kick, you know what I mean? But just depending on what you do as far as equalization and compression and the amount of reverb and, distortion, um, you just never know what you get. So, when you listening to stuff, it's like, I get these producers tell me, I'm maxed out. I need some other sounds. I need some. No, you just play with what you got and learn how to use the plugins and get it to make something else You could definitely do that. Just like I showed y'all the hi-hats. You know, the hi-hats came out totally different than what they sound like. It's like a dramatic difference. And those are risers. Yep. I believe those. I want to say that those voices are. I think those are still in MIDI, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? You would have never noticed that was what it was. This is actually a sample that comes in Studio One here. This is I don't know what that is. It's just a bunch of, but basically it comes from somewhere over here, and I just put it inside of sample one because I wanted to do something steady with the sound, and kind of make it jump because the way that it sounds as a one shot is like this, right? That's the one shot sound. And, you know, I figured the easiest way to get it to kind of do what it's doing now is to put it in the sample one sampler here. And I play with the LFO and the pitching a little bit, the tune, just to get it right, to sync a little bit better with the song. You know what I mean? And set it to a reverb here, and that's where pretty much most of everything that I'm doing, like things like this that I just want reverb on several things, just send it to a reverb. This is sent to a reverb. This has its own effect. I don't know what that is, but this is my reverb. If I have plugins on any of these tracks, it's because I was trying to achieve something specific to that track. But as you can see, I'm scrolling. You barely see any plugins. But try to add a plugin on each track and see how your CPU here will spike up. So I did something to the. Oh, I gotta show y'all this. I'm gonna blow y'all away. Well, it was muted, but I thought it was pretty cool. I took a tambourine from the loop section over here, and this is what it was. Let's mute this. First of all, I time stretched it to get it to sync. Then I put this auto filter on it, and oh my god, just did something. I just thought that was cool. Now, here's something really deep for you guys if you're still watching. I muted this track on purpose, but I did not know what the outcome would be. Muting this track and adding the console shaper on here, which bleeding everything that's technically muted as well. It also added color to the track in a real great way. a real great way. It's almost like turning this track down in a sense. But I had it muted, and I'm like, man, what is that sound? It sound like something going on in the background, and you hear it more prevalent in the beginning right here. No, actually, okay, maybe not there. Maybe more so. I forget where that section is. Wait a second. Let's see. Okay, you hear the hats in the background. Okay. Now, never mind what I was trying to say, but I'm still saying the same thing. It's just I chose the wrong instrument. But this is what we hear in the background. It's muted. This is the original hi-hats that I was going with at first. You know what I mean? I didn't care for that. So I muted it. But I didn't mute the region itself. So you can still kind of hear it in the background. It's almost like it's got a filter on it. I don't know if you can hear that. I just left that the way it is. It sounded great to me. I'm gonna leave it just like that. It's almost like turning it actually on and just turning it down. You know, it's the same thing. You can't hear that much, and you especially won't be paying that close of attention when the vocal gets on. But I just thought I'd show you that. You know, it's just, I don't know, it's weird like that. Like, you know, it's art to me. You know, it don't matter that much, but I don't know. So, I think that's all I want to show you guys. I'm trying to see if there's something else that I want to show you guys. That's pretty much it. I wanted to just break it down and show you guys that I completed it. And it's pretty amazing how I got some of these sounds to sound like it is. You know, a lot of the sounds that I'm using were not intended for the way that I'm using them. But it don't matter, right? All that matters is how they sound in the track. So that's the end of it. I stacked several snares. That's how I get that fat. You probably asking like, how did he get that fat snare, that clap sound? As you can see, I added several of them together. It's like three of them. I think that's three. No, four. Because this is another one. This is like a TikTok sound, but what it's contributing to the table is like, and then that's all I did. That's pretty cool. I didn't know that it does all of that. That's pretty cool. It's like an ARP sound, and it just makes these cool. That's a song right there. That's really a song right there. I just got another idea. But anyway, yeah. I hope you guys enjoyed yourself. The video was definitely long, but that's what it takes sometimes to break things down thoroughly so you guys can see and get an explanation as to what's going on in my head and why things are the way they are. And, appreciate you guys for watching this long. If you made it this far, remember, music is art. You're the artist. Paint your picture. I'm your boy Ella, and I am out of here.